Hello, Pokemon fans! I'm Professor K.
And I am Professor...
No! None of that! None of that this video. I have the Professor code, not you.
Okay.
Anyway.
He's a bully!
Anyways, guys, welcome to our analysis of the 2017 Standard Format Rotation.
Which I am not happy about. How did we lose Phantom Forces?
Well,
Ow.
I mean, we lost 4 sets. Prior to this, we lost 5. Prior to that, we lost 4. So it's really not out of the ordinary.
But still, Phantom Forces is so important.
I agree with you. I feel like Phantom Forces is definitely very important. I'm sad to see it go, but towards the end of this video, you might not be so sad.
Oh, really?
Yes, but you'll just have to see how that is once we get through this.
Alright.
So what we're going to be talking about here today is about all of the cards that had competitive relevancy in the past or even right now.
So basically all the cards that have ever mattered.
Yeah, we're going to be covering all of them, and we're going to be taking it set by set. So you're going to see End cover XY and Furious Fists. I'm going to cover Flashfire and Phantom Forces, and then towards the end, I've got a little bit of a theory for you guys as well.
A theory? Who do you think you are?
BirdKeeperToby?
I see how it is.
One of my good friends, Pokemon theorist. If you guys don't know who he is, go check him out. Anyways, as I was saying, so he's gonna cover XY and Furious Fist. I'm gonna cover Flashfire and Phantom Forces. I've got my list of all of the cards. We'll get to that. I've got the list of all the cards here that mattered or do matter, at least for right now. So we're gonna cover all of them, and we're doing it with our green screen, which is why you see a background that you probably aren't familiar with by any means.
Your handwriting is awful.
I know, it's terrible. But I'll go over it with you before we make the cut. Don't worry. So, anyways, guys, I'm going to let M take over here with X and Y. So I'm going to make the cut, and we'll be right back.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Woo! Oh, shut it, you wannabe Professor Theorist. Alright, so I've got his handy-dandy stupid notepad here, and now we're going to go over some of the cards that are rotating out of the XY set the N way. So, aka the fun and good way. Shut it, Professor. I know you're about to say something.
This is your segment. Go for it.
That's right, it's my segment. Alright, so all awesome jokes aside, the first card I want to talk about quickly that is a kind of a big deal that we're losing is going to be, bam, Delphox. Which, I mean, when it first came out, it did see a lot of play along with Rayquaza back when we had the Dragon Burst one, and also Emboar. Then after that rotated out, it was dead for quite some time. But now recently, with the release of Delphox Break, it has seen some play. Not too high competitively, but still enough play to where it's a fun little rogue deck. And it does kind of suck that we're losing it, because I always thought it was a cool card. Especially with the ability Mystical Fire, being able to draw up to 6 every single turn. It was like a shaming, but better if it wasn't a stage 2. So, yeah, not to mention its attack wasn't bad either. 3 colorless, 50 and 20 more for each fire energy attached to it. So it's the same thing as Flare on EX now, but not a 2 prize risk. So that was one. And now the next one I get to taste the Professor's salty tears on. Greninja! Yes! Your tears are so delicious! And oh hey, guess what? My awesome Zoroark's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Just wait. It'll be your turn.
Not anytime soon, my buddy. But alright. In all seriousness, I love Greninja. Greninja's really cool, and it's kind of sad to see this one go because, honestly, even before all the Greninja stuff we got, it did see a good amount of competitive play with Miltank, which he's going to be talking about more in Flashfire, but still. It was actually a really cool thing for a while with Miltank, and not even also Miltank, but before that, I believe Kingdra. Yeah, that's right, Kingdra from Plasma Freeze, I want to say? Yes. It's also competitive play there with the Water Shuriken ability, discarding a Water Energy, putting 3 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. It was a really cool card for a while, but it's one of those that we're going to see going by.
I mean, at least in the Greninja decks, it's a one of, so...
At most, yeah. Honestly, that doesn't really affect the modern Greninja decks as much, because I've seen a lot of people not even play it at all and still run very, very, very well with it. So, that's about as much I gotta say on the Greninja part. Did you want to add anything on your special Pokemon?
No, I'm too sad.
You guys don't know how much I'm loving hearing him cry right now. And now the next card we're going to be talking about is Trevenant from XY. And all I gotta say is, yes! 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 It's about time that thing left. It is about time you just go away and get out of here. Ugh, especially facing against it twice in Battle Frontier Friday. Just, ugh.
Your salty tears sustain me.
Shut it! Greninja goes bye-bye!
Aww.
That's right. But as annoying as it is to face, I have to admit the deck requires skill. Unlike Seismitoad.
Or Night March.
Or Night March. But yes, Trevenant Break with the item lock, as annoying as it is and was, it does require skill and not just anyone can play it. So, it was a very interesting concept, at least, especially recently with the addition of Trevenant Break being item block and placing 3 damage counters everywhere. We're not losing the Break anytime soon, nor are we losing the other Trevenant that we got from Breakpoints. The one that allows your basic Pokemon, well, your opponent's basic Pokemon, to have 1 more energy to use to attack.
Nervous Seed, I believe it is.
Yes, it is, Nervous Seed. So yes, we still have that Trevenant to use with Trevenant Break, but it's not going to be anywhere near as effective as the item lock. And with that, good riddance. I don't like item lock here. Get that out of here. Alright, next up according to this just awfully written list.
Man, leave my handwriting alone.
Okay, go back to school and learn how to write. Ugh. You call yourself a professor, you can't even write notes properly.
Doctors have horrible handwriting.
Oh what, so you think you're a doctor now?
No, but it's kind of similar. Leave me alone.
Ugh. Alright, the next card on the list I want to talk about is Aromatisse. Yes, we are absolutely losing Fairy Transfer Aromatisse, which is kind of a big thing because throughout the entire seasons, throughout some higher or lower degree, Aromatisse has always been part of the competitive scene, believe it or not. Whether it was Aromatisse big basics when we were still in our black and white era, or during our Fairy Box era, and even in our Mega Gardevoir era, it has always been a part of at least some decks, regardless of which format and rotation we were in. So it's kind of a big deal that we're losing it. It's kind of sad to see it go, because Aromatisse was really cool. Before that, we had Hydreigon, which was a stage 2 that did the same thing, except it was with Dark Energy. But having a stage 1 that can move around Fairy Energy, especially when it first came out, that was a really, really big thing. With a lot of different cards I could utilize at the time. So, definitely very sad to see Aromatisse leave. Bye-bye. It's sad, but okay. Next up is we're going to be starting into our trainers, and the first one on the list is going to be Cassius. Now, Cassius now is not really much of anything, but when it first came out, it was actually a pretty nifty card to run as a 1-of in your decks. Because for those of you who know what it does, it basically allows you to pick one of your Pokemon. I believe it's only your active.
No, it's any of them.
Oh, it's any of them? Okay. Well, you do have a use here.
Yeah, I do.
Unbelievable. Yeah, you pick any one of your Pokemon, preferably one that had any amount of damage on it, and you just shuffle it back into your deck. Which, again, now that's not really much anything, but when it first came out, it did see some play. It was especially very annoying when you were just about to take that knockout for those prizes, and they just played Cassius. It's just, made you angry. Okay, that's about all everything I got to say about Cassius. Anything you want to add?
Nope.
Alright. That next one is a really, really big one. Muscle Band. Yes, we are losing Muscle Band in this rotation. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Muscle Band has always been part of the competitive era. Always. Up until its very first day it came out, and up until now, actually. Almost every deck utilized Muscle Band, at least as a 2 or 3 of. When it first came out, it was a 4 of easily, but there's other ways we can boost our damage now, so it's still a very important card. And the thing is, what made it so big at the time, when it first came out, is that you could attach it to any Pokemon. Because before that, we had Silver Bango, which you did 32, but it was only to EX, and EXs could not equip that. And usually with items in general, with tools that boosted damage, there was like certain requirements that had to be met. But not with Muscle Band, anything could have used Muscle Band, so that's what made it so big. And such a valuable card for an uncommon. So, definitely very, very sad to see that go, and even more sad that that card has not been reprinted in anything yet. So hopefully we get it back in the next upcoming sets, but until then, we gotta work without Muscle Man. Which is kind of sad, actually, because I love Muscle Man. Got me so many different wins. And next up on the list I want to talk about, speaking of tools, is going to be Heart Charm. An item that didn't see as much competitive play as Muscle Man, but it did go back and forth throughout the meta. Throughout the most notable time I can think of that was utilized in decks was during the whole Yveltal era, where Donphan was played a lot, and Yveltal decks just put that in there to counter Donphan. It was really, really cool.
Waylord!
No! 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 No!
It was used in Waylord!
No! 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 We are not discussing Waylord here. No! No! That is not even a deck. That is even more lazier than Seismitoad. Just no!
Fair enough.
No. Alright. Now that my temporary aneurysm is done thinking about that card, we're gonna get into the next card on our list, Roller Skates. Now Roller Skates, a lot like Heart Charm, kind of went back and forth between seeing play. Not because of like the format or anything, just honestly, it was just kind of a random thing. Like a lot of decks would utilize Roller Skates, then they wouldn't use it, then it just went back and forth, back and forth. And now a lot of decks that I can think of that use Roller Skates would definitely be Night March now. But before then, when it first came out, I'd say almost every deck utilized at least 2 or 3 of them. Because it was a pretty cool card, being able to like flip, and if you got the head to be able to draw 3 free cards off the bat, off an item card, that was definitely pretty good. So, definitely hope we get a card like that in the future. That's not Acrobat, of course, because don't get me wrong, Acrobat is great. But just the fact to be able to draw 3 for free with an item was really, really good. So, hopefully in the future we get a reprint. At least not a reprint, but something similar to it. That would be really, really cool. And the final card on the list for the XY that's important that we're losing is Shadow Circle, which that really hurts my deck specifically. Hurts all my Zoroark and Darkrai decks. But no, yes, Shadow Circle is one of those things that kind of saw back and forth play, but when it did see play, it was very, very useful. Because the main decks that utilized it were Darkrai, Yveltal, and Zoroark. Because all of their weaknesses, Electric and Fighting, have always been common. Well, let me rephrase that. Fighting hasn't always been common, but up until Furious Fist, Shadow Circle saw a lot more play because it blocked off all the weaknesses. So yeah. And not only that, recently, so with decks I've even seen Giratina decks play that. Because their Double Dragon Energy will count as a Dark Energy to use onto the Shadow Circle and to protect them from the weakness against Fairy types, which are gaining power very, very quickly. So, definitely a shame to lose Shadow Circle. Was utilizing a lot more than just Dark decks. We just had to be creative with it, which a lot of people were. So, sad to see that gone. It's sad to see almost all these cards gone, minus Trevenant. And minus Greninja!
Oh, shut it, you.
Alright, so that about does it for XY cards that we're going to be losing. And now it's K's turn to be talking about.
That's Professor K to you.
Flashfire! A boring set. So, take it away.
Let's go ahead and talk about another set, one that actually matters. And that's going to be Flashfire. Enough.
Boring!
Alright, yeah, so we're going to go to Flashfire next now. Of course, this is the second of the 4 sets that did rotate out of format, the other ones being Furious Fist and Phantom Forces. So, out of the second one, the first card we're going to take a look at here is Pyroar. Pyroar was a pain if you had to face it during the time that it was used. It was definitely a very, very good counter to a lot of the big basic decks out there. Only thing it really didn't have an issue with it was Zoroark. Yeah.
Hey, admit it, Zoroark was the best way to fight Pyro back then.
It was, I have to admit. But Pyroar had a really great ability, Intimidating Mane, where basic Pokemon could not do any damage to it at all whatsoever. So unless you're playing Garb or Zoroark, there really weren't many evolution decks out there that could really deal with Pyroar efficiently. The attack on Pyroar wasn't really that fantastic.
Well, to be fair, Raichu can deal with it.
Raichu could, but it really wasn't seeing much play at that time. So Pyroar is a card that we're going to lose, unfortunately. It did have a lot of competitive play. Matter of fact, it won US Nationals a couple of years ago. I think it was 2013 or 14. I can't remember which. One of those two. I think it was 14 actually. 2014. It did win. So
Are you sure it won?
Or second place. It got second place. Right?
It definitely topped. I know that.
As far as just second, I think it actually was second. You're right. I think it lost in the finals. So yeah, second place. But yeah, we did lose that card, unfortunately, which, I mean, it doesn't hurt too much in this particular meta because there's a lot of evolution decks out there and a lot of water decks that could deal with it very easily. But Pyroar, I mean, it was nice knowing you. It's nice knowing you. Next up here, we've got Toxicroak EX. Toxicroak EX had a lot of potential. It wasn't utilized as much as it probably could have. Being able to hit for double colorless to poison and take the extra damage in between turns, I mean, it's really good. It just didn't see a lot of play, and I don't really know why. Especially with something like Burbank City Gym that really just increased that damage even more. But I think it had it had a place, but that particular time period wasn't it, I guess. So next up here is Fortress. Fortress was a cool card, another one that really wasn't utilized that well. It was good for fun decks, but now actually...
MVP!
Yeah, it could be used for Mega Gallade. It could also be used for even Trevenant, if you wanted to add extra damage in between turns.
Latios Donk.
It was good for Latios Donk as well, but again, it just didn't see a whole lot of play, unfortunately, but it was a really good card. You could just evolve and then deal 10 damage to all your opponent's Pokemon, and then right now, if you use the Evolution Spray, you could pick it up and put it back down on another one that's been there already for another turn or two, or wait another turn, then evolve.
Or if you have Force Giant Plants, just go boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, well, Force Giant Plants I don't think would work with it.
Yes,
it's a metal type. Oh no, you're right, yeah, because it goes into it after, just like Shiftry. You're right, because the Shiftry was a dark type. Yeah, so you could do Force Giant Plants too. It's a really good card. It could go with Mega Alakazam even, but now it's gone, so. Well, not now, but in September. Okay, next up here we've got Druddigon. Druddigon was a really good tech card, a dragon type that in a period of time where dragon types were weak to dragon specifically, and they were very popular, like Rayquaza, for instance. Druddigon for double colorless, Revenge. It was really good. That automatically hits for 180 on a Rayquaza, one hit knockout due to weakness, so it was really good. Next up here we've got Mega Kangaskhan and Kangaskhan EX. They go together because obviously they're part of the same line. Another deck that did very well at one particular point in time. You can deal a lot of damage with Mega Kangaskhan. It's a lot relying on those coin flips, but it does have a lot of power, and it actually did well at a U.S. Nationals as well. So, yeah, you can deal a lot of damage with that coin flip if you get the right amount of heads. Next up here, we've got Miltank, which, as we talked about earlier, was seen in Greninja decks. It was also seen with Crobat decks, Empoleon decks. Empoleon Miltank was another one that was really good. Miltank, powerful friends, dealt 10 damage, and then if you have a stage 2 on the bench, it goes to 70 more damage, so you're hitting for 80 for a single colorless energy. Really, really powerful. Powerful friends, yeah.
Boo!
But it was a good companion to evolution decks that had stage 2s in it, and even recently it's seen a little bit of play, more in kind of fun decks more than anything, but it was a really good card. Another one I'm kind of sad to see go. So now into the trainers, we're going to be seeing Fiery Torch is going to be bowing out. No more item-based draw support for fire decks, discarding an energy and drawing off of it. That's going to be gone. In the same respect, we're also losing Blacksmith. Blacksmith, you could attach 2 fire energy from your discard pile to one of your fire-type Pokemon. That's gone as well, so fire-type energy acceleration, it's pretty much gone. Drawing off of it, and also being able to attach extra fire energy in between turns. Or in between turns, on your turn, out of the discard pile with the Blacksmith. Next card here we're going to be losing is Sacred Ash, which has actually become a staple in a lot of decks that lose Pokemon easily or need to get them back. Like Greninja, for instance. Greninja Break. Really utilizes Sacred Ash well. A Rayquaza deck could use it.
I use them as Zoroark decks.
Zoroark. A lot of Pokemon that are really easily knocked out use Sacred Ash to get them back into the deck. Not to mention it keeps yourself from decking out a little bit easier. Another card we're going to lose is Startling Megaphone. Startling Megaphone discards all of your opponent's tool cards, so now there's just no way to get rid of tool cards.
No way to stop Garb.
Yeah, that too. So, and the only other card that would have stopped it is getting rotated out in another set here, so that's unfortunate. And the final card that we have here is a card that was extremely trolly, and that is Trick Shovel. Trick Shovel, you could have your opponent, or you, if you're playing it, can look at your opponent's top card, choose whether or not you want to discard it or not. You can either look at it and put it back on top, or throw it away. Of course, you're going to choose to throw it away in a mill deck, especially like Durant or something like that. But it did see a little bit of play, and it's worth noting that it did make some kind of appearance, and it's now gone, unfortunately. So that is all the cards from Flashfire. Now we're going to move on to Fury's Fist, so I'll let N take back over. You guys can hear what he has to say about those Fury's Fist.
Man, why are you crying?
Furious Fist!
I know you love fighting types, but we lose Hawlucha too!
We do?
Yes.
I can be strong.
Strong like fist.
We can do this! Alright, my spirit is restored. Alright. Furious Fists. Alright, wait, I can do this. First Pokemon here to note that we're going to be losing is Leafeon, which now hasn't really been seeing any play, but back then, especially when Seismitoad was dominating everything, it was a really good counter for it. Because you had 30 damage, automatically puts it to sleep, then a Muscle Band make it 50, Silver Bangle at the time make it 60 to that EX, and weakness, because it's Seismitoad, 100 to 120 damage, and automatically asleep.
For a single grass energy.
Single grass energy at that, so it was a really good way to fight Seismitoad at the time. And honestly, I like all the evolution. I think they're really cool. So it's definitely kind of sad to see Leafeon go. But I hope they make another Stage 1 Leafeon in the near future, because that'd be really cool. Fortunately, the EX is meh. It's meh. Alright. Oh, look at that! The next card we're losing! Seismitoad EX! You should have been gone a long time ago. Trump card was not the problem. You were.
I have to agree.
Yeah, this is why we lost Lysander's trump card, which was never the issue.
It's the fact that Seismitoad decks abuse those items over and over and over.
Agreed. Because honestly, if we had trump card now, it would keep decks like Night March in check. So yeah, way to go on that one, Pokemon.
Oh, that's why they're reprinting, or they're printing Karen instead.
Which, yeah, Karen's pretty cool. But it's only Pokemon, not everything.
Yep.
But yo, yeah, Seismitoad was all over the place. And before anyone argues with me, that deck took no skill. It was autopilot, basically.
Only when it was a dedicated Seismitoad deck. If it was a tech in other decks, then it required some skill.
Which at the time, that was no such thing.
No.
Tech. Everyone ran Seismitoad decks back then. Especially when we had Laser Bank, the whole Laser Bank thing. Oh, it was just disgusting. Especially when it was just run with Garbodor. It was the worst thing to face. No one wanted to face Seismitoad decks. But they were everywhere. But let's not focus on that. Let's focus on the happy part. That he's gone! Alright, next guy we're going to talk about that we're losing is going to be Beartic. Now you don't see really too much Beartic around anywhere. Nor has it been anywhere for quite some time. But when it first came out, it was a really good counter against a lot of cards, specifically Landorus EX. Oh boy. When that first came out with all the fighting support that we got, Fighting Stadium, Strong Energy, all of that, Landorus EX was really a force to be reckoned with. And Beartic was one of the best ways to counter it back at the time, because it did more damage based on the energy and its retreat costs, and Landorus EX had a pretty high retreat cost, so Beartic was almost always not getting out with one blow. And for just a double colors at that, and just being a stage 1 wasn't too bad. And at the time too, its weakness was metal, which at the time metal was not really much anywhere, so it was a really good card. Beefy, stage 1, not really a notable weakness at its time. And yeah, just a really good way to fight off those high retreat cost decks. It was even good, not even just Landorus EX, but a lot of other meta cards had a high retreat cost, like Seismitoad EX, for example. So, definitely a really cool card. And kind of sad to see it go, because I even used Beartic at one point. It was actually one of the cards that helped me get my very first place at a league challenge ever, so Beartic, you will be missed. Next card we're losing is going to be... Wait, we're losing to Dene? No, we can't be losing to Dene! The Dene's so cute! It's so cute, fluffy, and adorable! And don't you give me those looks, Professor! Despite those cute looks...
Listen, Dedenne is a stone cold evil tall killer.
That's right!
I have to give it to him.
back at a time where Yveltal was just dominant, like even almost more dominant than Seismitoad, yeah, Dedenne was like an amazing way to get rid of it. It was also a really amazing card to have in Yveltal decks as a counter to the Mirror Match. Because that attack Energy Sword, 20 for each energy attached to it, was just perfect for fighting Yveltal, who gets its powers from having more energy attached to it. So, Dedenne was just an amazing way to counter Yveltal at the time.
It also fit well into Donphan decks. To
Oh,
counter it
yeah.
as well, because Donphan, Yveltal has the fighting resistance that Donphan couldn't really deal with that well.
So a lot of different decks use Dedenne, and not just Yveltal. Mainly to fight Yveltal, and actually, not even just Yveltal, but at the same time, as the meta progressed, not all decks, but some decks did run it against the colorless Rayquaza, which wasn't as effective because Rayquaza only needed 3 energies, but still, it was a good way to deal a lot of damage to it, so. Oh, and also it was a pretty good Shaman killer when the Shaman had energy, because there were points where Shamans did have energy to use for the attack, so the Dedenne was definitely good for that. So, anything else you want to add on to the Dedenne?
Nope.
Highlights, we have all of the adorable little reprints to look at, so that's good. That's cool. Alright. Next up on the list is going to be Mienshao, or Mindshao, however you pronounce it. There's so many ways to pronounce it, it's not even funny. But, honestly, when it first came out, it did not really see too much play. And honestly, it would not begin to see any play until around the first era of the standard format when Breakthrough first came out. That's when Mindshao really saw some play. Because back then, we didn't have any end in the format. So, being able to just do 40 and boost up more with all the fighting support and put it all back to your hand, just to put up something else, and just keep going back and forth and just like an endless loop, it was really good at the time. Unless your opponent had like the Judge to shuffle your hand back into the deck, which not a lot of people used Judge when it came out, because it was a pretty risky card.
Speaking of risking, there's plenty of people who would risk it for the biscuit with...
No! Oh my goodness,
I do hate that saying.
I hate that saying so much.
Irrelevant to this topic, but I had to.
Yeah. Nothing against Team Fish Knuckles, who likes that saying a lot, because I like his videos. By the way, shout out to Team Fish Knuckles. Because believe it or not, he was actually the one who helped me improve my Zoroark deck, so...
He's a good guy.
Yeah, quick little shout out there, but... Again, that was nothing personal against him, I just don't like the saying risk it for the biscuit. But oh yeah, back to Mienshao. Yeah. During that time, it did see some amount of competitive play. It even managed to top in a couple of cities. But unfortunately, once we got me back, Mienshao just died off completely. So can you believe that, guys? I was the Mienshao killer.
You were a lot of deck killers.
Oh, I am. And I love it. But no, yeah, I actually did like Mienshao because I did use it in a league challenge once. Which I did horrible with it because I used it back when it first came out. I wish I would have used it back when a Breakthrough era, but oh well. Mienshao, you're a good guy and you'll be missed. And next up on the list is going to be Landorus, which now is not really a big deal, but at the time this card was a very big deal. Very, very big deal. Because it helped out so many decks up until Breakthrough when we had Mega Mewtwo X. That Landorus helped out quite a bit. It was basically the regular Yveltal, but even though it was 10 less, not only could you boost it with strong energies and stuff like that, but it was any basic energy. It didn't have to be its own type. So any basic energy in your discard, you could use the attack and attach it to one of your bench. So it wasn't even limited to fighting Pokemon either. So definitely a good card. Now we have Carbon Break, which lets you attach 2 of any energy onto one of your bench fighting Pokemon. But even then, we also have Garchomp, which it lets you attach one of your any energy card in your discard, but it lets you attach to any Pokemon. So Landorus EX doesn't really have too much of a place now, but back then it was a pretty cool card. So Landorus EX. Why did I say EX?
That's okay. Yeah, we know what you're talking about.
Okay. It's your fault I stuttered.
Okay.
I somehow blame you for this. But Landorus, you will also be missed. And now the next card is... What? No! I remembered why I was crying! Lucario EX and Mega Lucario EX. I need a moment. Guys, you don't understand. I love that card so much, and it was so good. It's like when it first came out, and it just always came back and forth, and now that everything from Fates Collide has been released, Lucario has seen so much more play again. And right where it sees so much more play, we have to lose it. It's an amazing card, like, along with just alone being able to draw until you have 6 with a powerful attack, which base-wise not powerful, but being able to boost it up like crazy, being able to knock out big things and be able to draw, like, it was a really good alternative to Shaman, which costs so much money. Speaking of which, quick another shout out. Go check out my Metacham deck on our Deck Tech Thursdays, which I perfectly show how Lucario is a great alternative to Shaman. Shameless promotion aside,
at least you're not promoting Yu-Gi-Oh videos.
And go check out Magician's Descendant.
Oh, of course.
Ha! I wasn't going to until you said it. But yeah, Lucario was a great card for fighting decks. Just not only 4 corkscrew smash meal draw for until you had 6, but just missile jab was amazing and overlooked. Like, just being able to dunk a lot of things, and it's really good against Greninja if you're going second, because they'll usually just have like their lone Froakie on the bench, and all you gotta do is just have a Lucario on your active, just have like a strong energy, muscle band, boom, you donk them, beat Greninja like that. Not to mention, it was very, very underestimated to have like the entire deck based around Lucario. Now, decks like those didn't see as much play, but they were very, very underestimated because Lucario Bat saw a lot of play for a good amount of time during our standard era where we didn't have Landorus. And also, like, I personally utilized Lucario greatly. Like, it was definitely, it went back and forth between a well-played card to an overlooked and underestimated card, but in my opinion, Lucario was never irrelevant. Never irrelevant. Now, a quick little thing I want to say about Mega Lucario. Even though that one never really saw any play, it's a real shame because, not so much because it doesn't have a Spirit Link, but power-wise, it was probably one of the most powerful Megas we've ever gotten. Because a lot of Megas, especially back then, they did a lot of damage, but they also had like a heavy like setback to them. Lucario had no setback whatsoever. So it was a real shame that we never got the Spirit Link. But some people, including myself, did manage to find a way to make it work with Maxie's Hidden Ball Trick. And it's a pretty fun deck, which I might possibly do in the future. Just because it's a really, really fun deck to do. And Mega Lucario is definitely one of the most powerful Megas out there. Like, honestly, I think the only reason they didn't give it a Spirit Link is just because it would be broken. It would honestly be broken if he had a Spirit Link. It can one-shot anything. And if it doesn't, it gets rid of an energy card, special or basic. So, definitely a powerful card to be missed. And definitely underlooked in my opinion. Alright. Oh, happiness, guys. Happiness. Guys, we are losing Hawlucha! Get out of here, you filthy piece of garbage. Alright. Can't believe I'm gonna be saying this. But that Hawlucha was good. Hold on. That Hawlucha was good. That Hawlucha was good. Okay, I said it.
Even you used it in decks.
Please don't. But yes, as much as it makes me want to puke, makes me want to spupa, Flying Press Hawlucha was actually really playable. Very playable in fighting decks. Being free retreat alone would make it pretty good, but it doing 60 damage for a single fighting energy, granted it can only hit EXs, but at the time it was an EX dominant format, so very rarely was Hawlucha not utilized. So it was definitely one of really good ways to fight against Seismitoad, because with all the fighting support, it was dealing massive damage to the side of the Toad for just a single energy. So definitely a playable card. But now it's irrelevant now. Bye-bye! Oh, guys, that just made me feel so much better throughout this video. Alright, and now the last Pokemon I feel we should give a little shout out to and talk about a bit is Noivern. Now, even though I never really saw highly competitive play, it has seen some play. Especially now with the breakthrough release of the set that we got the Noivern Break. And honestly, although never like a tier thing, it was always a fun thing to run. I actually managed to run that card in my Mega Gallade deck when Roaring Skies first came out. And I'll never forget the time where I managed to defeat a colorless Rayquaza deck by taking, I kid you not guys, 5 prizes in one turn because of it. Because he had to make a Rayquaza with his entire bench set up. I had my Noivern there just doing the Boom Burst, and Echolocation ability just protected me. Then I retreated to the Gallade, knocked out 5 Pokemon, well not 5 Pokemon, took 5 prizes, and won the game. So, definitely a fun deck, especially now with Noivern Break. The attack it has is pretty powerful. If you have the same amount of cards in your hand as your opponent, I believe it does 150 damage?
I can't remember if it's 120 or 150.
No, it's 150, it's 150. So yes, so honestly not too much meta or anything like that, but it is kind of sad to see Noivern go because he was a pretty fun card to play. So that about does it for the Pokemon. And now we're going to get into the items. Not items, trainers. First one's going to be Fighting Stadium. Now that's a it's kind of back and forth between a really big loss and not so much. Because Fighting Stadium is an amazing card that allows your fighting Pokemon to do 20 more damage to any EX. But the fact that this is not really an EX format anymore, it kind of makes it not okay for fighting decks that were losing it, but it doesn't hurt them as badly. Because fighting stadiums now are only like a 1 of 2 or 2 up in a deck. Just because there's so many powerful non-EX decks out there. But at the time, fighting stadium was like almost revolutionary. Especially throughout the whole era of Landorus Lucario. Being able to hit for massive amounts of damage with just such low energy. And when it was an EX dominant format, oh, forget about it. Fighting Stadium was one of those cards that really just helped turn over the meta for a good amount of time, so it's sad to see it get rotated, but I feel like this is the perfect time for Fighting Stadium to get rotated because it's not irrelevant, but it doesn't hurt decks to lose it either, so. Anything you want to add on Fighting Stadium?
Nope.
It's a pretty big card.
Yeah, it was.
Definitely. And now another card that we're losing that I'm personally very sad about is Focus Sash. Now when it first came out, it didn't really see too much play, and it wouldn't really see too much play until Primal Clash, where not even so much just because of Medicham, because don't get me wrong, Focus Sash with Medicham is deadly, but just in general, people started realizing how good of a card it was. To just be able to just protect yourself from getting one-shot, was just big. And it continues to be big to this day. Again, especially now with everything that we got in Fates Collide, that combined with like fighting Pokemon, but especially Medicham. And even Hawlucha too, I can't believe I'm mentioning Hawlucha again. But yes, fighting Focus Sash was very good with Hawlucha, but especially Medicham. Being able to guarantee you attack 4 times was just very, very good, and it's very unfortunate that we're losing Focus Sash because
It's good for Carbink Break too.
Amazing for Carbink Break. It's definitely really sad that we're losing it because even though it's released in Furious Fist, I didn't really see. Again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I can't stress that enough. It did not see any play until Primal Clash, which is like, yeah, 2 sets after it was released. And again, not even just because of Medicham, just because people didn't even know how good it was. So it's a real shame that we're losing it. So yeah, that's about everything I've got to say about Focus Sash. Another big one that we're losing, now this is the one that's really going to hurt fighting decks, is Karina. Karina was just an amazing card for the fighting decks. Being able to search up a fighting Pokemon and a tool. Basically, even at the time where Skyla was a big thing, Skyla was obsolete in fighting decks because of Karina. Because with Skyla, most of the time you searched off items. So, the fact that Karina did that plus a fighting Pokemon, that was really big. And honestly, it never was irrelevant. Karina was just another one of those support cards for fighting decks, a lot like Lucario, that was never irrelevant. Always saw competitive play in some form or another, and gotta say, the fact that we're losing it, it's a real big hit.
Yep, and not only did it search out tools, it also searched out regular items as well.
I did say items.
You said tools at first. It's okay.
Well, tools was one of the main things you searched out, because
that's what it went for mostly.
it was a way to search out fighting Pokemon and a muscle band back then, which was huge. And it continued to be a big deal. We could search off a fighting Pokemon and Sash. Or even when Groudon was a big thing, you searched off that and a Spirit Link off the bat. So, helped out many fighting decks, and it's definitely a big shame to see it go. Definitely going to be a big hit to the fighting decks out there. But we also do have a lot of stuff right now. Strong Energy did get reprinted in Fates Collect, so it's definitely a good thing. Now that we have Cardbrink and Regirock, I feel like we can still push through. Alright. Now, the final card I'm going to talk about here is Super Scoop Up. Now, Super Scoop Up was a reprint of an older card as Super Scoop Up. So, it's definitely gone back and forth throughout many years in the competitive meta.
We'll see it again, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure too. But a lot of decks played Super Scoop Up, especially at the time, Seismitoad. But not even just Seismitoad, the Bat line, Zubat, Crobat, Golbat, all the Bat lines saw heavily played Super Scoop Up. Just being able to pick up everything attached to it, the Pokemon and all the energy and tools, was really good. Not to mention it saved you from getting knocked out. And not to mention that kind of helps out the Latios Donk that we were talking about earlier with Fortress. You just play Super Scoop Up, pick it up, just play it again. So definitely kind of a hit to a lot of those decks out there. And pretty sad to see that go. So that's about everything that was really big for Furious Fists. It's really bad that we're going to lose Furious Fist, because a lot of good cards were in that set. In my personal opinion, Furious Fist is almost as important as Phantom Forces. So, again, I'm just really sad to see it go. But, what can you do? It's the rotation. It was bound to happen sooner or later. So, with that, guys, I'm done with Furious Fists. And now Professor K is going to be doing the honors of talking about which I believe is the most important set that we're losing, Phantom Forces. So, take it away, Professor.
Alright guys, as N was saying, the next set we're going to be covering here is Phantom Forces, which I have to agree, this is easily the most important set that we're going to lose. There's so much good stuff in Phantom Forces. Some might argue that Phantom Forces was one of the most broken sets to ever be printed. And
that's a very good argument too.
It is. In a way I have to agree, but there are so many useful cards in here that are so key to the meta right now that this being cut out entirely is going to turn the game upside down. So let's start things off here with Manectric and Mega Manectric EX.
Huge hit.
Huge hit, absolutely. Mega Manectric has been relevant, maybe not a tier 1, but it has been extremely relevant throughout all of the sets that have been printed from Phantom Forces all the way to current. Mega Manectric has been used in a lot of different ways. Most recently, it's been used with Glaceon and Jolteon. Also, it's been used with Raikou. It's also been used with Ho-Oh. A lot. It's just, there's a lot. It was also used with some other water types as well, I remember. Was it Regice was one? There's just been a couple of, there's been a lot of different uses for Mega Manectric. He's been very versatile between a lot of different decks. Another deck that it worked really well with was also Mega Manectric and Yveltal. That was the one that I was missing. So yes, there's a lot of different uses for Mega Manectric. Very good deck, and it wasn't super overpowered. It did take a little bit of skill to put together, but it was a good card combination. Because even Manectric EX was very playable on his own as well, which is something you don't normally see in a Mega line. Usually the first one's not very usable, and the second one is the one that's usable. But this way you could build a deck around Manectric EX or Mega Manectric EX, either way. The next three all go into the same category. That's going to be Joltik, Lampent, and Pumpkaboo. Night March is gone. At least for now. At least for now. As I said, we'll get more into that here after we finish talking about Phantom Forces. But for now, Night March is dead. Which means Karen's coming in at a point where it's not relevant to Night March being an issue anymore. But maybe an expanded, or something else. But yes, we are going to be losing Night March, a very, very overpowered combination. Originally seen as a very gimmick-type deck put together. Because you see a lot of these different synergistic cards that go together, like Magmortar and Electivire. They went together, but they were very bad together. So a lot of people just saw it as this gimmicky thing. It wasn't going to see much play. It wasn't that great. You know, you're talking a 30 HP Pokemon, a 60 HP Pokemon. What are they going to do? Well, they turned the game upside down is what they did. So Night March, all three of those cards, gone. Out the window. Next up here, we've got Crobat. Now, this is interesting. We have Zubat. We have Golbat. They got reprinted in Generations. But we don't have Crobat anymore. Crobat is going to be rotated out. So dealing that extra 30 damage when you evolve is gone. Now all you have is Golbat to do 20 damage with Sneaky Bite. I think it was Sneaky Bite. Yeah, so that one's gone too. Crobat was a very good card to see. Most of your bat lines were like 4-4-3. 4 Zubat, 4 Crobat, or 4 Zubat, 4 Golbat, and 3 Crobat. Some played 2 Crobat. You know, it was just kind of a preference thing more than anything. And using Super Scoop Up, as we mentioned earlier, was a way to get those bats back up and put them back down and start dealing extra damage. So Crobat is going to be gone. Also, we've got Gengar EX. Gengar EX did see a decent amount of play. Again, not a tier 1 deck, but maybe a tier 2. Being able to poison and switch out and dealing a decent amount of damage with that as well. Most people would play it with Trevenant, switch into Trevenant, or you could switch into Wobbuffet to shut off your opponent's abilities that aren't Psychic type. There's a lot of different ways you could have played Gengar, but it was a good card. It just didn't get quite enough power behind it to make it as good, and the Mega was absolutely not played at all. So, next up here, we've got Bronzong, which is a very, very, very big hit, because Bronzong is the reason why Metal Decks became playable in the first place. And now that we've got Genesect EX and Fates Collide, Bronzong being gone is a huge deal, because the power behind Genesect is dealing 100 damage, discarding as many Metal Energy as you had attached to it if you wanted to for an extra 20 damage for each one you discarded. Then you would just switch into, you would bring it all back with Bronzong on the bench, switch out however you wanted to do it, and you would continue attacking that way, getting your energy back. So unfortunately, Bronzong is going to be gone, which means death to Metal Decks for the most part. There's not any Metal Decks that can really stand alone without Bronzong.
But at the very least, he's going out with a bang, because that and Genesect have actually been doing very well in Nationals across the world. Yep,
there's that. And I even faced the Genesect deck at a tournament recently, but I was playing a deck that just didn't really care about Metal being an issue, so I took it down. Speaking of Metal, the next card we're going to lose is the Dialga EX, which saw a lot of play when it was first printed. Very good attacker. Being able to, for the first attack anyways, being able to attack and then not be hit by any Pokemon EX at all, that's really good. And its second attack, just one-hit knockouts across the board. You can power that up and just start dealing lots of damage, especially with Bronzong. But Dialga didn't see much play. I would say maybe after, what, Primal Clash? Probably is when it died. Yeah, I would say it died either before Primal Clash or just after.
It's not that, it was the whole, it's not because of sets, it was the meta change.
Yeah, it was the meta change, but I'm just saying I'm giving a time frame of when it died.
Possibly.
Yeah, so Dialga EX, I mean, it was really good at first, and then people just stopped playing it for whatever reason. Speaking of metal types, another metal type that has still continued to do very, very well to this day is Aegislash EX. It's a great tech. Having the ability to stop damage from Pokemon that have special energy attached to it is huge, especially against Night March or any kind of fighting deck that had strong energy attached to it, forcing your opponent to use basic energy, which for a long period of time, people just didn't play basic energy. Seismitoad would play 4 double colorless energy, Night March would play 4 double colorless energy, Flareon would play 4 double colorless energy. I mean, it's just really, really good to stop those kind of decks. And it is unfortunate that we will finally see that go. The attack itself that it had wasn't fantastic, but if you utilized Bronzong in the correct way late game, you could power it up to take knockouts for the game, which I did actually a couple of times in my metal decks. Next up is Florges EX, which it was really hyped up at first, but never really saw the kind of play that people thought it would. It was a really good card, but it was very fragile, only having 160 HP. It kind of made for some weird numbers, weird math, that just didn't add up beneficially to the person who was trying to play it. But it was a good card. I mean, you're hitting, depending on how many Fairy type and Grass type Pokemon you had on your bench, it could deal a lot of damage very quickly, especially with the addition of Skyfield. Next up here is Slurpuff. Slurpuff was utilized in Seismitoad decks for draw power. and it was really, really good. Tasting, one of your favorite abilities of all time.
Lick the deck.
You must lick the deck if you want to use tasting. Just Pokemon-based ability draw power. It's really, really good in those Seismitoad decks where you maybe don't have a whole lot of draw power otherwise. Getting stuff that you need right off the bat. Double Color's Energy is what you would really want to dig for mostly. But Slurpuff was a really good card, and it will also be missed. Also, backtracking a little bit to Metal types, I forgot also Heatran. Heatran was a very good tech in Metal type decks originally. It was the non-EX attacker that Metal decks needed. It was really kind of expensive to power up, but if you needed to, you could do it, and it was there. That was the main thing. Alright, now we're going to get down to the trainers and energy, which are the biggest factors, in my opinion, of what we're going to lose from Phantom Forces. We're going to lose AZ. AZ was a supporter that's played pretty much in every single deck as a 1-of, possibly 2-of, to scoop up things like Shaman EX, or something that you have a lot of damage on that you just want to pick up. Also used for bats and anything that wants to devolve and re-evolve again. AZ, great card. Really great card. Very competitive. And it's sad to see it go. That's the only supporter other than... Oh, there's one more again. We'll do that in a minute. Battle Compressor. This is the biggest hit by far to the entire meta. Battle Compressor is a card that is played by every single deck. Anywhere between 1 to 4 copies. Battle Compressor is borderline broken by being able to discard things that you have in the discard pile, or in your deck into the discard pile, and being able to get them back with things like VS Seeker, especially supporters. You can also use it in Night March to discard Pokemon and power that up. Use it in Flareon to power up by having more Pokemon in the discard pile. It's just really, really strong, and I don't know, it really changed the way the game was played, and we're really curious to see exactly how this will affect the game going forward without that card. I think that we're going to be seeing a higher count of supporters because now you can't just compress one away and get it back with the VS Seeker very easily. You can discard from hand, but I just think Battle Compressor is going to be a huge hit to the format. Also, we're losing Dimension Valley, which is a card that really helped out Night March, because Pumpkaboo is 3 energies to attack. You have Dimension Valley in play, it goes down to 2, takes a colorless energy out of the attack cost of a Psychic Pokemon. It also created a way to make some Psychic Pokemon hit for free, or 1 energy, and it would have been very, very good for the brand new Gardevoir EX that's going to come out in Steam Siege, making it only require to hit for a Fairy energy, and that could deal a lot of damage. So it's kind of sad to see that go when Gardevoir is just coming in.
I know.
You get to play it for a little while, but mostly in fun tournaments, or at Worlds, if you're going to Worlds, if you want to. Now, next up here, we've got Headringer. Headringer is one of very few cards we saw with Team Flare having something to do with it. Headringer was a big, big thing when we were in a heavy EX-dominated format. Making your opponent require another additional energy to attack was a big deal, especially on things like Seismitoad EX. If you could get a Headringer on a Seismitoad EX before they used Quaking Punch, it was huge. Unless they managed to pick it up themselves somehow with a Super Scoop Up or an AZ or something like that. Headringer was such a good card, and it was really great during the EX heavy format. Now, not so much. You don't see very many EXs anymore. A lot of non-EX decks, but you have to admit, Headringer had its place. Robo Substitute is up next. Robo Sub was such a cool and fun card. You could use it in things like Excelgor. You could use it in things like Donphan. You could use it with Mienshao. You could use it with just about any deck that required switching your Pokemon into something that you didn't want to get knocked out and your opponent take a prize. It was a great placeholder for decks that did that whole switch in turn kind of thing. Gengar as well, that was another one. Switch into a Robo-Sub. What are they going to do? Knock it out or Lysander something up? You're forcing them to use a supporter that they maybe didn't want to use for the turn when they could use it on drawing something with a Professor Sycamore or an N or Shauna or Birch or Judge or whatever. Robo-Sub was very cool and a very fun card to play. Next up, we have Target Whistle. Target Whistle, really cool card that just didn't get utilized as much until towards the end of its lifespan here in the standard format. Being able to bring up Shamans and knock them out is one thing. So that was a big deal because you could take a Shaman that was in the discard pile, bring it back up, and then knock it out. which is something that N was really planning on doing with his Zoroark deck, alongside of captivating Pokepup when it comes out.
Ugh,
Sorry for your loss.
that stinks.
Yep, Target Whistle is one of those that just, it was time for it to go, and now we're bringing in Pokepup. Kind of does the same thing, but instead of out of the discard pile, it's coming out of their hand. We're also going to lose Trick Coin. So now any decks that required flips that really wanted to get that extra chance of reflipping their coins, things like Malamar, for instance, Malamar EX, really good card, but that's also getting rotated out in Phantom Forces. Worth, I guess, throwing in there, just to mention.
Yes.
I mean, Malamar was cool in Fairy-type decks,
But
that's about it.
even then, for Fairy Box, I didn't see too much play.
It
for
didn't.
long.
It didn't see a lot, but putting your opponent's Pokemon to sleep with every energy that's attached to it, you attach energy, automatically asleep, then you can Fairy Transfer it away. If it's like a Rainbow Energy or something like that, you use Rainbow Energy for that, of course. Or you could have a dedicated Fairy deck that just had a Malamar in it. You could do that too. Alright, next card we're going to be talking about here is Zorosic. Another big supporter, one copy of, discard a special energy or a tool card attached to a Pokemon in play. It's a really good card, but again, it's time for it to go. So that was our best way of discarding special energy, besides item-based special energy like Enhanced Hammer, for instance. So if you were item locked, you could Zorosic away double colorless energy off of Seismitoad EX, maybe get a turn back if they don't have another one in hand, or a way of getting one into their hand to attach. It was really good, but again, Seismitoad's gone, so Zorosic, not such a big deal that it's going to be going as well, but it was a really good card. The final card that's gone, and it's really not a huge deal either, but, I mean, it was good in things like Trevenant Break, for instance. Mystery Energy. It has not been reprinted. It might get reprinted in the future. Who knows? We saw Strong Energy get reprinted. Maybe we'll see Mystery Energy get reprinted as well.
Possible.
It is possible, giving your Psychic-type Pokemon 2 less retreat cost in their 2 less energy in their retreat cost, so you could retreat Trevenant for a single energy. So, Mystery Energy is gone and it will be missed, but some of these cards may not be gone forever for a very good reason.
What?
Indeed. I have a theory, and it makes a lot of sense. Now, bear with me on this. The last 2 eras, the last set of each of those eras had reprints in them. Call of Legends, reprints. Legendary Treasures, reprints. And I think we have already seen the prequel to what we're going to get back into XY12. I say there's going to be an XY12 because X and Y Base was released in February of 2014. 2 years ago. Well, 2.5 years ago. And we're going to probably get Sun and Moon Base in February of 2017. It's just a theory. But what's that set going to be? Well, if you guys follow the Japanese TCG in any way, or if you've seen us open it on our channel, Japanese Champion Pack 4, CP4. Premium Champion Pack 4. Yeah, that's what it is. There's a lot of cards in there, and a lot of reprints. As a matter of fact, as big as this list is, this many cards could be coming back. You may not be able to see my pad very well, but there's a lot. So, let's talk about potential CP4 reprints that'll come back into the game sometime around the November era. Just in time for your birthday.
Woo!
Okay. Yes. So, let's go ahead and talk about some of these cards. Obviously, we're not going to go into too much depth about them. We're just going to kind of name them off, and you can, pick and choose from what set we were talking about, where it's going to be, and coming back into the game. First and foremost, I'm going to go in order of typing, followed by trainers. First, we have Delphox. Fun card. Could bring it back, because it was in CP4. Delphox from XY. Cool to see it back. I mean, maybe we can do something with it now. Also, Pyroar from Flashfire. Intimidating Mane. It's also in there as well. So is Seismitoad EX.
No!
Yes.
No!
Seismitoad Seismitoad EX was printed in the Japanese CP4 set, which means it could come back to the English set if my hypothesis is correct.
Don't let it be correct.
Alright, the next card that we're going to talk about that's coming back is one that, again, we said it didn't see a ton of play, and it really isn't relevant anymore, but Beartic is coming back. So that's just worth noting from Furious Fist. Also, as much as I cried before, Greninja! XY Greninja with Water Shuriken is coming back.
Woo! I actually like Greninja.
Yeah, so it's a good thing to see him back. He'll really come back strong and be in the Greninja decks once again. Also, Manectric and Mega Manectric.
Yeah!
There we go. They're coming back as well, so you get some more potentials to use them if my guess is correct. Again, I may not be right,
Yeah,
but I'm pretty
see.
sure. Bring your chair over here then.
Yeah.
I don't care. Also, the Night Marchers. All of the Night Marchers are CP4.
What?
They are.
What?
Night March is not quite dead yet, which is why I think them printing Karen really was a good indicator that Night March would come back. Why print that card if Night March is gone?
Oh boy.
Also, we're going to get back Crobat, because Crobat was in CP4. So now we have all of our bat line back again, potentially. Also, Gengar EX.
Nice.
Gengar EX makes a return. Maybe we can do some more stuff with that. And Trevenant.
What?
Trevenant from
Oh,
X and
come
Y.
on! Okay, this can't get any worse.
The item blocking Dark Tree himself is still here.
This cannot get any worse, guys.
The Ghostly Tree. Also, Lucario EX.
Woo!
Lucario X is printed in CP4 as well.
And I believe Mega was too.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, Lucario EX and Mega Lucario EX was printed. Also, it's worth it to note that all of the Helioptiles are leaving the format. Not that they were playable, but they've left the format.
Aww.
And just when you think you got rid of Hawlucha,
No!
he comes back.
You're lying!
Right there. Give me my notepad.
No!
Hawlucha makes his return in CP4. I'm so sorry.
No! Wake me up, please! This is a nightmare!
Can't wake up.
No!
Also, Bronzong makes its return, so Metal Decks still have their chance to be alive.
I approve of Bronzong coming back.
I do too. Also, Heatran, the non-EX attacker from Phantom Forces, will also make a return. Florges EX gets another shot.
I like Florges. I actually tried Florges.
Florges is fun. It's a little bit on the fragile side, as I said, but it's good. It's a good card. Next up, Fairy Pokemon don't lose their support Pokemon in Aromatisse because
Yeah!
it's there as well.
The Broski deck's still alive.
That it is, alongside of Noivern. So you might be able to do some funny things with Noivern and Noivern Break, continuing on to the format.
Trust me, Noivern can pull off a lot of surprises, so.
It really can. Also, Kangaskhan and Mega Kangaskhan, although they are kind of falling by the wayside, they're coming back as well. Along with Miltank, the versatile Stage 2 partner Pokemon, makes its return as well.
Yeah, Moo Milk!
And that is it for the Pokemon. Now we get into the trainers. This is where the key stuff really comes in, because Battle Compressor is in CP4.
Yes!
Battle Compressor will make its return.
My dark decks don't die.
A lot of decks don't die. It goes right along back with Night March, so we're going to see more Night March if this is true. A lot of people are going to be upset by that, but
Hey,
you know,
when we get Karen, it's gonna balance it out.
it will. Starting with Megaphone, we do have a way to discard your opponent's tools. It will make a return because of CP4. Also Headringer, so there's that as well. Zerosic.
Ooh.
Zerosic does come back. So now we're going to be able to discard those special energies even under item lock. Also, Karina.
Alright, we're not losing a lot of our fighting stuff.
A little bit of fighting support comes back with Karina. Also, Dimension Valley. Dimension Valley lives.
Yes, we can still play the new Broski.
We can indeed.
If this is true.
If this is true. And also, even though it was kind of right for Fighting Stadium to fall by the wayside, it comes back.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
We also gained Fighting Stadium back as well.
So really, the only thing we're really losing for good is Focus Sash.
Focus Sash is gone. Yeah, that's the only real big fighting support thing that's going to be gone out of the format. So, even though we're having a huge rotation as far as playable cards go, there's a really good chance that we're going to see these cards come back.
So, if your theory is correct, why are we having a rotation?
Well, we still do lose certain cards. We do lose Cassius for good. We do lose Muscle Band for good. We lose Hard Charm for good. We use Roller Skates for good. Shadow Circle.
That's not the point, though. Expanded. Expanded hasn't even gotten a rotation.
Yeah, Expanded does not get a rotation.
So,
not at all.
Why do we have a rotation?
For Standard. It's just for Standard. And they will change the Expanded format probably with the next rotation. Because think about it. They're going to keep it in until Sun and Moon comes in, and now they'll probably rotate to XY base. That's my guess. I'm just guessing on that. I was hoping they were going to rotate to Boundaries Cross to follow the previous rotations of Standard, but they didn't. Continuing down the list, we also lose Toxicroak EX for good, we lose Fortress for good, we lose Dredigan for good, we lose Fiery Torch, Blacksmith, Sacred Ash.
Remove our hats in honor of all these ones we're losing.
All of our lost friends. Trick Shovel's gone for good, Leafeon is gone for good, the one I was telling you about before. You were telling us about before, I should say.
Yep.
Dedenne is gone for good.
Aww.
Mienshao is gone for good.
Not Mienshao.
Focus Ash, as we were saying. And Super Scoop Up does not make a return yet.
Not yet, but
Maybe.
that card gets reprinted a lot, so.
It does. We also are going to still lose Dialga and Aegislash EX. Regardless, they're gone.
Bye-bye, Mel.
Slurpuff and AZ, the really big one I'm sad to see gone for good, is AZ.
I even played Slurpuff my Zoroark Break deck when it first came out. So that's definitely sad to see go.
Robosub, Target Whistle, Trick Coin, and Mystery Energy are not going to make returns. So,
Not even Robosub?
not even Robosub. I did not see Robosub. If I missed it, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure Robosub does not make a return. So we still lose a good amount of cards, but take heart, if you're a fan of this format, a lot of them will still make their returns back. It just makes a lot of sense.
If the theory comes true, which probably will, because we are due for a reprint set very soon. Like, probably, like you said, probably November.
It will be. It'll be November. If we don't get a reprint sent in November, then we're not going to get one at all. But it makes sense. Call of Legends, right after the Heart Gold, was it Heart Gold Soul Silver? Was that the last era before that?
Yes.
Yeah. Heart Gold Soul Silver ended with Call of Legends. Black and White ended with Legendary Treasures. So it only makes sense that XY would end on a reprint note as well.
Yeah, and back to what you were saying, like, it has to be this one or we won't get it at all because Sun and Moon comes out in November. And they're not going to wait too long until they make a Sun and Moon base.
Exactly. It'll be the next set possible after that, which is February. And it is worth noting that Beedrill and Mega Beedrill were in CP4, and we are getting them in the United States. So anytime Japan gets cards or reprints, usually they come to the United States.
Yeah, very, 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 very rarely does Japan get cards or reprints that we don't eventually get.
Yep. So
it's very rare.
It will happen. It'll probably be like, for instance, CP3. CP3 was a Pokecune collection. We got it in Generations. So
yeah, definitely not impossible.
It's not impossible. I think it's going to happen. We'll get these cards back into the game, plus a mixture of other things. So it'll be like a mashup of a new set and reprints, just like Legendary Treasures was. So that's my theory on it anyway.
Oh, and another really good thing about if this theory comes true is that Shaman is getting reprinted.
Shaman also gets a reprint. Yes, you're right. So even if Roaring Skies does rotate next season, it's probably still going to stay in the format because of this.
Right, which the full art might go up a lot more, but the regular Shaman might drop quite a bit.
It might,
which
because
is really good because that card, as good as it is, and it's the meta after all, it's ridiculously expensive, both versions.
Yeah, $45 for a regular Shaman and over $60 for a full art. It is a bit ridiculous, but we're in a format where it's just too good to not have.
And we're getting the reprint if we get this. So.
Yeah, and it'll help lower the cost of the regular one. But the full art will go up, just like full art N is worth over $50. It's worth like $60 now.
Yeah, like at one point that card was like worth like $80-something.
Yeah, and it'll go up again as time goes by for sure. Noble Victories is hard to come by. But anyways, guys, this video is quite a lot longer than I expected it to be. But I just feel like we really needed to take the time to explain to you guys what we think of the rotation. I think it's fair to have the rotation that we're having, 4 sets. The last time we lost 5, we lost 4 before that. And to know that CP4 might bring back all of those cards, it's not so bad.
Yeah, that's what it is for me, because like, if that does come true, then it's fine. But I feel like if it doesn't, then, like, especially as soon as it happens in September, until November, the format's gonna be kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Just like Standard first was around the Breakthrough era when it first came out. And the first stage, like, everything was crazy.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like we're going to go through.
We are going to go through that for at least 3 months because CP4 won't come out until November. So once this rotation hits on September 1st, from that point, September, October, and most of November, we will not have all these cards that we mentioned that have been rotated. But once the third week of November hits, the third Friday of November hits, then we will be seeing these cards come back.
I still think is the dumbest rule ever.
Well, they changed it from 3 weeks, 21 days, to the third Friday following release. So it got shortened a little bit. But it makes it a little bit easier for people to get the cards.
It shouldn't be shortened at all.
Yeah, like I said, it gives people an opportunity to get those cards.
That's the way of the game.
That's what they decided to do.
That's just, in my opinion, guys, that's the way of the game. Like, you want the new cards, you gotta get them as soon as possible.
That's very true.
It's competition. It helps business. It helps the Pokemon business.
Right.
Because everyone's gonna want to rush to get it as soon as possible.
I agree, but not everyone has the means to either, so some people have to build it up over time. But love it or hate it, our format for the 2017 standard format is going to be Primal Clash on. So get used to it, guys.
I'm glad that we at least kept Primal Clash.
I am too. I really am. I was afraid they might rotate it out and go Roaring Skies on, but Primal Clash, it's a good fit for me. I think it works a lot.
If it was Primal Clash, we would have lost way too much then.
Yeah. At least what we're doing by keeping it Primal Clash on is we keep all of our ancient trait cards.
Correct.
So it's a good starting point. Not to mention, the Primal Fish lives on for another year.
Primal Fish! Primal Fish!
Indeed. Well, anyways, guys, this is our views on the 2017 rotation and also our little theory there on what might be yet to come for the 2017 season.
Really hoping it's true. Like, I actually hope you're right for once. That's how much I want this to be true.
Oh my gosh. I'm shocked. You want me to be right?
I know, right? I gotta have my Lucario back, though.
Wow, my goodness. Well, anyways, guys, we hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, comment down below, and of course, subscribe for more TCG content. Really excited for the upcoming season. Hopefully, we have a lot of people do really well. Looking forward to judging some events as well.
Gotta really try to get to this season, because I feel like this is gonna be my season.
Yep, and given that we possibly are moving from where we're at during this 2017 season, it puts us closer to bigger events like Nationals, for instance.
Oh, yeah.
So we might actually be able to make it to 2017 Nationals if things fall into place the way that we hope that they will. Because obviously we didn't make it to 2016 Nationals. So.
Yeah, we might even make it to 2017 Worlds if it's close enough.
We might. Watch them put it here, and we're gone.
Oh.
I don't even want to think about it.
Don't put that into my head.
I hear you, man. Alright, guys, well, we're going to leave you off with that. Hopefully you did enjoy this TCG 2017 standard rotation video. Hopefully it was informative for you guys. If you have any other concerns or questions or thoughts of your own, feel free to leave them in the comment section. As I said, we're curious to know what you guys think of this season coming up as well. Are you looking forward to it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you not care at all? I don't care. Let us know what you think. And we hope to see you guys in the next video.
Alright, guys, so I'm Ed.
And I'm Professor Tennant.
No!
I'm wearing Fresco. Look at this.
None of
right here.
that!
Right here. Professor!
None of that!
You are not a professor.
None of that!
Get out of here.
No.
See you guys next time.